What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Savage. Welcome back to Savage Studio. Smash that like button if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already subscribed. Tap that bell notification and you will be notified of every time I drop a future video and any type of content that you might want to see. Maybe that's prison related or after prison, into prison, however you want to talk about it. Because over here on this channel, we covered a broad spectrum of different topics. However, today we're going to be talking about paroling, and for me, this is something I always get from people because either they're expecting family members, they're getting out soon, they know a homie who's getting out soon, and they don't know what to expect, especially from somebody who's done a lot of time. So today's video, we're going to be giving you an in-depth synopsis of what you can expect, maybe the first 6 months upon someone paroling, and maybe what their frame of mind might be like paroling. Now, for each individual, we all know things vary. Not everyone thinks the same. Not everyone has the same, form of or pattern of thinking. You know, some people only do a couple years, some people do 3 years, some people do 4 years. The more time you do, the more your thinking is going to change. You know, the more being free is going to be a little bit more anxiety inducing than as opposed to someone who's done only 2, 3 years, even 4 years, because they've not been away from society long enough to even have a new pattern, a new brand of habits in them. They're still fresh off the streets. They still smell like the streets. By the time they go right back out, they're ready to still commit the same crimes as they was doing on the streets before they went to prison. So anyways, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Like I said, man, welcome back to Savage Studios, the host with the most, headed on by all these clowns and all these trolls. You know how we do it over here. Listen, I know when I was getting ready to come out of prison, get out, it was really bittersweet for me for the simple fact that I really wanted to get out. I did really want to come home. I didn't want to be in there anymore. I had already lost a decade of my life. I got actually busted in 08, towards the end of 08, and ended up serving all the way till 2018, May 9, 2018. A solid stretch. Didn't get out, didn't take a break. The only time there was any break is when I came to Bakersfield County Jail from prison to catch another 5 years and head right back up. Other than that, it was all prison, all lockdown. Jails are same. It's the same thing. Different block, different institutions, same concept. You're still locked up. Same stuff, different toilet. You know how it goes. When I was getting close to getting out, though, I had a frame of mind that was like panicking. It's almost like I didn't want to a piece of me didn't want to get out because someone commented and said, man, it's easy being in prison. You get your 3 hot meals, cooked and served up to you, or your 2 hot meals and the 1 lunch, the cold meal. But you get your meals served to you. You get your laundry. They give you the clothes, the blues. You wear them. You don't have to go and buy them, pay for them. You wear the state stuff if you don't have any money. You're already housed. You have a bed. You have all water utilities. You have food that you can get off the canteen if you do have any money. So if you really look at it for what it is, it's almost a life insurance policy for the simple fact you're taken care of. Everything's paid for, all expenses paid. Now, the downside obviously is you're in prison. The downside obviously is you have to put up with the everyday grind of people either politicking or just maybe just the whole atmosphere of being in prison. Because just in the atmosphere of being in prison, it gets tiring, man. It gets the whole part of answering up to authority, to the COs giving you timed showers, when you get rolls of toilet paper. You could be anywhere in prison. It's just a real monotonous drag. So no one wants to be there. But I would say for me, it was very anxiety inducing getting ready to get out. And I swear for the last 2 days of getting close to me getting out, I didn't even sleep. Like that's how wild my mind was running. Like what do I do? For a kid who went away at 17, getting out at 27, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I start this journey? And sure enough, I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. There was zero reentry program for me. There was really nothing that they offered me that was helpful, even down to bus vouchers and things like that. Nothing. So going away at 17, I had to not only get out and restart my life as a grown man, but I had to do the things that put me in the negative that I didn't get to do when I was a kid, such as getting ID, California ID, the driver's license, insurance, and stuff like this, getting a car, right? And wondering if I could even remember how to drive. Obviously, I drive now, and I didn't have a problem picking it right back up, but shit, you never know. After doing that much time, you never know if you can still drive. I even got on a skateboard, not sure if I could even ride a skateboard anymore. So that's kind of how serious the change was for me. I had to kind of relearn certain things. Skateboarding is just an example. Nonetheless, I got out, and for the first 6 months we won't even skip to 6 months. For the first 3 months of me being out, man, it was chaotic. I'll be the first one to keep it real. Like, I ran a straight muck, man. I don't even care. I'm not going to lie, man. I was going to the gym, I was working out, partaking in, healthy, ways of living, I guess. But at the end of the day, once every weekend hit, man, I swear I hit every single Hooters all over California, strip clubs. Make sure Brittany don't hear this. Strip clubs. Vegas was a constant trip. We was always going to Vegas. I got family out in Vegas, but I was always out there just having fun, partying it up. Always in LA, tearing it up, and all those clubs, all down in LA. Yeah, there were pretty upscale clubs that I was getting into, but I was tearing it up. Sacramento, went to Sacramento, tore it up. But nonetheless, my mind, like, I was still tripping on people. There was like incidences where I was tripping on family, tripping on friends of family. So my mind was just kind of all torn up. And luckily I had people that were around me that actually understood my situation, understood kind of like where I was coming from. They didn't really judge me so much. They were patient. And that was way past 3 months and way past 6 months. I was on a journey to and I'm still not perfect, but I was on a journey to fix me, because there was so much of me that was actually broken. And when you get flung right back into society, it's easy to forget about fixing yourself, or just the transition of being in one spot, going to the next spot without the actual put it this way, when you're doing drugs or whatever, and you got someone who's really heavy on them, they gotta transition to the lower doses, and then finally they wean themselves off. Kind of like that, because you cannot go from one frame of mind. Let's say your frame of mind is a polarized frame of mind. It's black and white. And then you just all of a sudden go from you're supposed to be an upstanding citizen that doesn't see the things that way. There's a gray area. All of a sudden, you gotta slowly transition is what I'm saying. You gotta relearn everything, all the way down from technology to lingo to, everything, music, to everything that's going on. And you'll either accept it and roll with the times, or you won't, and you'll stay stuck with your era, your time, your swag, the way you dress, and that's cool for you, and that's how you'll keep it. Me, I've always been a natural, I'm into progression. I'm into growing naturally, fluidly, just growing, with the times. I try not to fight the times. I understand that I'm, your boy's getting a little bit up there. I'm still in my 20s though, late 20s, but nonetheless, I'm rolling with the punches, man, because at the end of the day, yeah, society's a little screwed up, but there's a lot to gain. There's a lot of knowledge you can pick up. So, when dealing with somebody who's done time, let's say someone who's getting ready to parole to your house, getting ready to come to your house and stay with you, or if you got a husband or a man who's coming out of prison, getting ready to stay with you. Number one is understand this. You cannot deal with this individual, this man. You cannot deal with him the way you would deal with any other regular man. This dude's coming out of war. He's coming out either shell-shocked, ready for war still, up to no good, or trying to figure things out. And when someone's in the trying to figure things out phase or the shell-shock phase, obviously, if they're in the troublemaking phase still, they're not going to last long. They'll be back in prison. You don't even got to worry about trying to get to know them. They'll be gone. But the other two, you gotta kind of learn them. Take some time to learn how to communicate with them, because they're not like you. They're not like any man you've known. And their anger, their snapping is different than what you know and perceive that to be. Now, you don't have to go to prison to be dangerous or nothing like. All I'm saying is they just. How I was, personally speaking, I was very conversation sensitive. Certain words would piss me right off. People in society, citizens, y'all don't really talk like inmates with the respect, man. It's weird. A lot of you guys joke around and say bitch. That's a big thing out in Miami and shit. All them spots, they use that bitch word like it's nothing, because that's the swag up there. They don't trip on that shit. But that word down here gets you lit up, man. Like lit up quick, fast, and you won't even know what the fuck, you won't even know what happened. So, already understanding that this person is different from you, different from people you know, has not been in the circles that you've been in, to say the least, has been in the circles that you don't recognize, that you're not from, they're alien to you. Those circles are alien to you. Already, as a man, that's done time incarcerated, I'll tell you right now, when I got out, super high levels of being on edge, being defensive, being more aware, keen, watching situations that no one else watched. And to this day, I see situations that my love, my wife, when we go out, she's very aware, but she's still like, I'm just always on it, on everything. Any little thing, I'll get to it before it gets to me. And I love to live that way because that's how I'm used to living. Anyone else would be like, damn, that's torture to live like that, bro. Like, how can you even enjoy life? Well, I enjoy it just fine. I keep my T's crossed and my I's dotted. That's how I do it. Protect me and my family. However, when you're like that, people like to consider you high-strung. He's a high-strung individual. And some people may not want to be around you, and some people may want to always be around you to continuously soak up game. For me, I've ran across both, where people who actually just couldn't take it no more, they're like, hey, I can't be around this guy no more. He's too intense. This dude's trying to fight me every other day. And then I've been around guys who's like, man, we get along good, we click, we mesh because we both understand each other. Unfortunately, that the ones who are very cool, this is how the way it goes, are people that I can relate to. The people that I can tend to relate to on the most ground are people who have to come from where I came from. And that's the sour and sad situation, because that's why inmates constantly go back. They flock to each other because they know that each other is what's relatable, what's comfortable, what's common, and they end up getting together and they highlight each other's bad habits for just a second. They probably mean well, they probably have great intentions, but before you know it, they're doing a crime together and they're gone. Me, on the other hand, it was a whole gumbo pot of different variables and components that led me to where I am now. I understood one thing for a fact. I had to break the mold that my brain was in, right? I had to get through this crazy cast that was put on my brain, and I knew it was there. I knew my frame and patterns of thinking was incorrect. And still, I'm not perfect. I literally just jumped out the car the other day on some dude who was tailing me. So now I'm giving, drivers who tail me, I give them a little more space, a little more time. But I literally just tried to smash the shit out of some dude who was tailing me. Literally jumped out the car right there in traffic. Not because I'm badass, but because I handled the situation poorly. I handled it with a certain frame of mind that normal citizens don't usually do in the everyday. I'm not saying that they don't get road rage. Of course y'all do, man. Trust me, y'all some of the worst drivers out here. But that's just, it's 0 to 100. And sometimes, it's not sometimes, all the time, I'm constantly trying to fix it. So when you have a man who's coming back from prison, expect 0 to 100 responses, whether it's to conversation, communicating with you, but especially to situations and circumstances. Just minus the talking part, right? Because in society, you see a lot of these little tough guys, they like to talk, right? And they could actually really be tough. They could actually really have hands and be dangerous. But the one thing that they have is they have this more in-between area where they'll be like, what's up? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? As opposed to, we're taught different. Win, lose, or draw, we're taught to just start swinging, just to take flight. That whole talking thing is just a waste of time, draws a scene to you. It's not worth it. Get paid where you feel played. You know what I'm saying? That's all you do. As soon as you feel played, you get paid. Just take off. That is the main component of the type of individual you're dealing with, because that applies not to just fighting. That applies to arguing. That applies to programming. So it's not going to be an easy process. You can expect the first 6 months to be the bumpiest. The older the individual is, the more time they've done, of course, they'll have more of a mission, like I did. I was always laser focused. Even when I was turning up, running amok, I still was doing and making steps towards what was going to better my future, credit wise, trying to get a car, saving up money. You know, I had a plan always. So make sure that person develops a plan. But if for someone who's only done 2 years, 3 years, sad to say, odds are they're the highest part of the recidivism rate. Those who don't know what the recidivism rate, that's the rate of people returning back to prison. They're the highest part because they don't learn their lesson. They're just in prison long enough for it to be kind of cool, you know, to get out and be like, yeah, I did 3 years. It wasn't no thing, chicken wing, boom. Us, on the other hand, losing decades, you know, double digit numbers. You learn your lesson, you know, you learn your lesson. You learn. In the spot, in person, I'm a whole nother individual than YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool on making the videos and going back and forth with trolls. I'm cool on that. In person, though, I have a very bad temper. I have a very bad tendency to make bad decisions, last minute snap decisions. And those around me who love me most, unfortunately, see this. And I don't like the fact that I still do that. That's something about me that I'm actually trying to change. So it starts with me not feeding into so much negative energy and learning how to just make myself positive. Point blank period, the person who's getting out of prison, whether they're doing for 6 months out of prison, 6 days out of prison, they have to understand that if they have no plan, if they have no angle and no direction, and they just throw themselves a pity party, they will end up getting drunk, doing drugs, doing crimes, gangbanging, or end up straight back in prison for killing somebody. That's just the way it goes. That's how the system's set up. That's what the mold that they put on our brain. It's up to us to break that mold. It's up to us to put a thought where they made sure we didn't have a thought, you know, to put thinking right there in the middle of that slot. And understand, listen, just because dude's coming home after 10, 15 years, dude still wants to be loved, dude still wants to have family, still wants to know he's cared for, still wants to know that people actually want to support him and see him do good. Remember that, because he may act like an asshole and he may say he doesn't need you, your help, or anybody, and he may really be convinced of that. But I promise you, love, support, all that shit, friendship, it all helps to make somebody see a different light, which we call the silver lining. So I hope you guys like this video. This is what you can expect from somebody getting ready to parole. Much love, much respect. Savage Studios, a bit this bitch, and I'm out this bitch. Deuces.